Alright, there's a couple different things we can do here. Right now we're going to make the pop hatch. And the pop hatch, depending on what you want to do, can go all the way from the front of the firewall, and you can bring it all the way down to where the dashboard is going to be. So a quick way to get the measurements for the inside of that, I'll show you a nice trick. To get an exact measurement, you just go to the inside of the plane with the piece. The way you do that is grab your piece. I'm using a 1/4 inch by 4 here. If you got a 1/4 inch by 3, that's good too. And it's just got to be long enough to go this long. Now, I'm just going to do half of a pop hatch. Most electric guys would probably want to do a full pop hatch if you're going to put an electric motor on the front. Here's a good trick to do. Take your piece that you're going to use for your pop hatch, place it flat down, and just turn the fuselage over upside down on it. And if you can see what I'm doing here, I'm kind of going to come in at an angle across the whole seam. And I'm going to put the very corner of the piece of wood right here, the very corner. I'm going to put that corner right into the groove and let the other side of the fuselage just rest on top of the wood. And then I'm just going to pull it snug so the entire back wall, or I guess you could say, the back top of the pop hatch is flush against the side of the fuselage. And then I'm just going to take my pen and put a couple marks in here. Now you want to make sure it's perfectly flush, and that way you'll get a perfectly good fit. So all you want to do here is make a couple of marks. Now I got my corner flush and my back flush, and if you can see underneath here, this is where the dashboard is. Stick my pen right through. This is where the angle of the dashboard is, and that's about where I want to go. So I'm just going to make a mark there because I want a little bit longer of a piece to get the next reading. So I'll just come through the dashboard and make a mark there, and then I'm going to make this snug up here, then come to the other side, and where it's resting on the board, I'm going to make another mark. It's tough with the light out, but I'm just going to mark where the side touches the wood. I'll mark it there. And I'll come down the fuselage a little, and I'll mark it down in here somewhere. And then just check after you made your marks that you were still flush when you made them, which I am. And now I'm just going to pull the fuselage off. And I'm going to take my straight edge, my 45-degree angle, and I'll make a line on the board where I stuck the pen through the dashboard, and just cut that straight across. I'll cut that straight across, then I'll have the length that I wanted for the piece. And then after I cut it straight across, I'll just take my other straight edge, and I'll put it on the 2 lines I made for the fuselage side. And then I'll just draw that line all the way down to where I cut the board off. So I'm going to cut the board in half right now, and I'll be right back. Okay, now I've cut the board to the size that I wanted. Well, it's just a little bigger than the size I wanted, but I do that purposely, so if I need to tweak anything or make an extra little cut and angle, I can. So now I'm going to try and fit this in here. Oh, I love when a snug fit happens. That's beautiful. Alright, so that's my piece of wood. Oops, sorry, I didn't have it on the film. I was ecstatic. So as you can see, I got my wood running across all the way down. And this is the top deck that's going to be a pop hatch inside. And as you see, I run it a little bit past where the dashboard's going to be. So now you can go ahead and mark. You want this piece flush. You want this piece flush with the top of the airplane. And a good way to find a nice, good flush piece on the airplane is to take a rod or anything that fits on top, like such a thing, and then you can just go in from the back here and clamp a piece of wood to the top of it, like this, and then just drop it straight down. It's such a snug fit. Now just by tapping it, I know that this piece is clamped right on here, and it's exactly to the exact height of the top here because this piece is allowing it to rest on the fuselage sides, which is where we want this piece. So that's a great way to go ahead and get the marks for it. Now in my particular case, I'm only going to make the very front part, the hatch, and this part I'm going to keep inside the plane as the dashboard, and the cockpit's going to come down on top of it. But either way, you can make this whole thing, this whole piece a pop hatch, and then you'll be able to access where your servos are and everything or inside underneath the wing without actually having to take the wing off. So it's good to make this whole piece of a pop hatch, but I'm just going to make half of it my pop hatch. Okay, now that I got my pop hatch in and I got it right to where I want it sitting on the top of the deck, I'm going to come over here to the dashboard, and I'm just going to make a mark on the side of the dashboard to where I want to cut the angle. And then I'll lay the fuselage down on the side and do the other side. And mark that angle. And now I can sand that down. I'll probably draw a line with my straight edge. Just come right over. Pop the hatch out. Be easier that way. It's really hard to do all this with a camera in your hand. I know I've said that a couple times. Sorry for repeating myself. And then I'll just line up the two marks and draw the line across. Got to be able to see too. And there's the mark for my dashboard. There's a mark for my dashboard. I'll draw that line right across. So now you can see I have the marks for my dashboard that I'm going to cut. I want to cut that angle out so it matches the dashboard. And that's another little part of the ball game we're going to play in a minute. Looks good to me by putting it back in there. And this is also good for getting the inside pieces that we're going to need down. Like I'm going to use triangular stock around the firewall, so I'm going to show you that.